Loved your latest column on ESPN. You take a look at quarterback reclamation projects. Geno Smith is really polarizing. I'm sure that's not shocking to you at all. I think there are a lot of fans that look at him and go, all I see is a guy that's not getting as much protection, making some, decision-making errors with interceptions, but overall has a great arm and can be a serviceable starter. I think there are other people that go, I want someone younger. I don't want a 35-year-old throwing 15 interceptions a season. I want someone else. And so a lot of the names you mentioned with free agent quarterbacks who could be next, I've seen a million times from fans. And so I wanted to be able to ask about not just whether you think this could happen for Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, but also what you would do with Geno here in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Geno Smith is, what is he now, 34?
Yes, turning 35.
Yeah, right. Any team that had a 34, 35-year-old quarterback, won Super Bowls, didn't win Super Bowls, Geno Smith, whatever, I'd be saying, hey, you should be making that Sam Howell move that you made. You should be making the Drew Lock move. You should be making the, if Justin Fields is available for QB2 money, go make that move. He's 35, right? Like that is just the nature of the position. We've obviously seen guys play very well into their 40s, but the reality of aging in the NFL is that it is a cliff. You are good until you are not. It is rare to see a gradual diminishing of play. It usually is rapid, right? Think about Kirk Cousins this year. Think about Matt Ryan before him. It just kind of happens. And so I think it's wise to be investing in QB2 in Seattle because you have a 34-year-old quarterback. Now, what I will say in contrast is this. We talk about, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and some of these reclamation projects, and I brought up the elite receivers that they played with. Geno was doing it with DK and Tyler Lockett. Good receivers. I wouldn't go so far as to be like, oh, those are Mike Evans, Justin Jefferson caliber of players. These other guys also, Sam Darnold with Kevin O'Connell, Ryan Tannehill with Arthur Smith, Baker Mayfield with Liam Cohen, Dave Canales, all these guys have gone on to get head coaching jobs. Geno's OC got fired, right? Shane Waldron, they moved on from Shane Waldron, but Ryan Grubb comes in, now they got to move on from him again. What Geno has done in his reclamation it has been remarkably more challenging. It has been a much bigger uphill battle than it was for any of the other guys. And I think we can confidently say he has been reclaimed. He clearly is a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. So if we fix the line, if we get an offensive coordinator in the building who's got maybe a little bit more gas in his arm, I don't even think we've seen the finished product of Geno the way we've probably seen the ceiling on Baker Mayfield, seen the ceiling on Jared Goff. We know what the ceiling was with Ryan Tannehill back in the early 2020s. And so Geno's 34. You should be planning for the future, absolutely. But it's worth noting, the rest of these guys got very comfortable, solid offensive nucleuses. And Geno's has been okay, but it has not been spectacular. And if that improves, I think you're going to see better play out of Geno moving forward.
One thing you said, Ben, that stuck out to me was saying that DK Metcalf is not, Justin Jefferson, which is interesting because DK Metcalf's contract, he can negotiate an extension this year. That's what the Seahawks do in their final year of a lot of these deals. What would you pay DK at this point? Because, like you said, he's not among the elite group of receivers. He does have a really fun skill set, but is there a number that you would say I would not go beyond this if I were in charge of handing out contracts?
Yeah, well, that's why they don't put me in charge of handing out contracts. I wouldn't be too good at that now. DK Metcalf is an extremely handy player to have in the building. This is a quality NFL wide receiver. He is a useful player. He has a unique skill set. DK Metcalf is without question a good receiver in the NFL. He is not elite wide receiver one, 8 targets a game, always beats the opposing cornerback one, high variety of route tree, always separates, good in the red area, good at contested catch. He is a player with holes in his game. He's got issues with his game, absolutely. So to me, I want to be somewhere in the mid-20s, and that's on the new cap, right? That's on a projected $182 million cap. And I think that DK Metcalf's agent is going to tell me that he can do much better somewhere else. And I think that agent's going to be correct because I think there is a team that maybe is a little bit less sharp than I am that's going to be willing to pay him a lot more. And so I'm going to look at the trade market. I'm going to see if I can get out while the getting out is good. Now, I don't want to play 2025 with no DK Metcalf, but I also don't want to play 2025, 2026 with DK Metcalf taking $32 million. To me, that's too much to pay for a wide receiver premium. This is a very challenging situation, right? I think a lot of the wide receiver spots that are upcoming, right? Some of the Cooper Kupp conversation, the Deebo Samuel conversation, clear trade spots. The T. Higgins conversation, clearly pay the guy $33 million. He's amazing. DK is the guy who's right on the gray area, and how they handle it is going to be very, very challenging, especially because even with how good Smith and Jigba is, he doesn't fit the DK role for you at all. And you do not have somebody waiting the wings. There is no outside speed threat, highway speed guy. I mean, Jake Bobo, that's not the way he plays, right? And so it's a very challenging situation with Metcalf. I'm curious to see how it goes. I think a lot of it's going to be backdoor dealing and shady negotiations and combine conversations and smoky rooms, and we'll see how it goes down the mountain. But yeah, this is a tough one to figure out.
Ben, I don't know how much Seahawks tape you had to grind this year. Probably not a ton. It's okay. We're in a playoff team here in Seattle. There were some really interesting games, but I feel like every single post-game conversation we had on this station, almost without fail, like the lone exception being like a game against the Arizona Cardinals, the second matchup, started with conversations about the offensive line. When you have spent time examining Seahawks tape or looking at these games at all last season, did you see that as maybe their number one fundamental flaw?
Yeah, I watched a weird amount of Seahawks because I thought they were going to win the division. I fully believed I was there. They were 3-0, and I love Mike McDonald. I think he's a great defensive coach. I think they're going to be quite good next year. I have a lot of faith in Seattle. This offensive line was one of the 3-4 worst in football. I think Charles Cross came around as he got healthier and got his sea legs back under him at left tackle. Felt pretty good about that. And I think that what you got from Oluwatimi at center is a bright spot. I don't think you got Jason Kelsey 2.0 coming down the mountain there, but I do think that's a player who can start for you at that position. I thought the guard play in Seattle was about the worst guard play that you could find in the National Football League. And right tackle, I like Dave Lucas a lot pre-injury. I think that there's still some flashy moments for him at times, but in general, that was a carousel of players, and it was a carousel of quality of play, right? Because of the health concerns. You need multiple new starters on the offensive line, and you can do that on 1-year deals because 33-year-old veterans are going to be an upgrade for you. You can do that on big multi-year extensions if you want to go that route. I don't think John Schneider wants to go that route. He rarely is on that route. And you can do that through the draft. I think this is a pretty good year for offensive line depth. Maybe not a great year for top talent, but Seattle needs multiple guys. I think you take dudes in round 2 and round 3 that are going to start for you. There is a prohibitive level of offensive line play where just the functional base offense cannot operate because you cannot run the ball. You're living in 3rd and longs. And that's where Seattle was last year. Seattle nearly set a record for longest average distance based on 3rd down last year on offense. By around week 9, week 10, they were setting the record. And then I think they ended up with a top 10 season over the last 20 years in terms of 3rd down length because you just cannot win on 1st and 10 because you can't run the football, you can't pass protect. You have to make up so much in the margins. So it was a tremendous challenge for the team, and if it's not addressed, it's going to be a tremendous challenge again in 25.
Benjamin Solak's guide to finding the right reclamation quarterback in free agency is available now on ESPN.com. Thanks so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacey. I'll take care.
All right, let's get to 4 Down Territory.